Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Wednesday webinar. No, we're doing a little late, and this is by request from our sales summit that we recently had, and the agents were saying, well, Bernard, well, can we have it a little later in the afternoon? So I was like, yes, we can. So, we're just a little late getting started, so my apologies on that. So we're going to jump right in this. I'm going to introduce Brandon Hay. He's been our resident retirement roadblocks master, and he's going to take it away from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Bernard. And yes, good afternoon to everyone. This is my last big thing for the week. I get a chance to hop out, get on a plane, go to Arizona for a little Grand Canyon relaxing. So this is my big closer for everyone. So thank you for being here and joining us. I'm really excited to talk through retirement roadblocks today. We've been seeing a ton of success with this, and really with our industry moving into this product in the guaranteed income space is up year over year big. And I'm going to share with you guys a success story and a couple of reasons or some ideas around why this is a great time to do so. What we've been seeing right now is agents and clients, we're starting to get more into a little bit of a lull. And folks are where they're starting to get wary of what's going to happen, where things going to go. Are we going to be able to get out and do things again, or where is the whole COVID situation going? But that's leaving agents and advisors thinking, gosh, I still got numbers to hit. How am I going to drive business and help my clients when we're in this kind of hunkered down virtual sort of world? And really, there's two ways that you can drive more business. And one is work and do more with the clients you currently have. And the other way is get more clients. The easiest way to do it is to work with the clients you have. And that's where this retirement roadblocks and the guaranteed income space comes into play. Because what I've found is there are many times that folks get these belief barriers in the way, and they don't necessarily come and bring these ideas to clients. This is going to be a way that you can do that really, really easily and help you have some more success this year. Personally, I have a financial advisor that I work with in Michigan, so not too far from Bernard's neck of the woods, that dove in. He embraced this, and what he said is, I'm going to learn one or two products really, really well. What's the product and who do they work for? And I said, great, I'll teach you. So this advisor and I started working in April. He learned a couple products and the right folks for this fit. He didn't want to learn the whole suite of products or everything we've got on the shelf. He said, give me two, and where do I go with it? His advisor approached, I believe, between 12 and 15 of his clients. Of that 12 to 15, he has now 10 that have signed, and he's done right now with what's in process, right under $4 million of annuity premium since April. So now we're looking at 4 months. What that means for him is he's got more of these clients that are protected for guaranteed income. He's gotten actually a few referrals from people of their friends who are looking for this. And in his bank account, at the percentage of income based on these, that's an extra $240,000 of business from April to August, just because he said, hey, let me put this in front of the clients I have, see if it works. And it has. So we're going to share it with you. I'm going to go through this as if you were a client having this presentation and talking through the retirement roadblocks platform. So here's what we've got. We're starting off with our retirement roadblocks. And what this is this is a presentation that is fully able to be customized. You're able to add your information in. And before we dive in, take a look. All of this is available to you right now. There's a invite pre-approved. There's a seminar quick guide ready to go. I know Bernard and IAD has their own. So you've got actually a couple seminar quick guides to help you if you're going live, or we start to move back into this virtual side. And there's also a questionnaire to leverage here to help you drive more appointments, more questions, and more engagement around this. So as I can show you here, this is customizable and it's written. So what I'm looking at here is I've got the camera. I've done this a bunch. Sorry, they've got the timings going here. One quick second. I'm going to see if I can stop the timings. Okay, good. And what I'm looking at here is I've done this a few times, but there is a script and a pre-written approach and pre-written verbiage that you can use on any of these slides as you talk through them with clients. So you can put in, as you use this, your name, your info, and the things that make you specifically qualified to have these conversations with your clients. So we're going to dive into it now. And I'm going to talk to you as if you were a client going through the retirement roadblocks. All right, we've got this. One quick second here. I'm actually going to share with you. Sorry, we've got to adjust this quick. We've got the timings going on, and I want to turn those off. So apologize, hang with me here because the timings shouldn't have been on, but they are. All right, now we're back. As you can see here, this is all pre-written. So you've got a view of the screen here. You're able to see that this is already there for you. So I'm going to flip the screen so you can get an idea of what it's like for clients to go through. So the place it starts is having informed clients. An informed client is a better client. Now, as I've spent years helping advisors and their clients, both retirees and pre-retirees, navigate through the twists and turns of their retirement journey, there's a few risks that experience has taught me that clients are going to face. And there's 7 of them that as you go through the retirement journey, you're going to experience some, if not all, of these risks and their effects that it can have on your retirement. Because it's important that these risks could potentially expose your retirement to unnecessary danger. I refer to them as our roadblocks. The good news is, though, the sooner that you as a client are aware of these potential risks, the sooner that we can help implement strategies to avoid them and take them off of the road of retirement as you move forward. So, what are those 7 risks? As you can see here, we have longevity, inflation, sequence of returns, withdrawal rate risks, Social Security, healthcare, and of course, taxes. Now, we're going to go through and take a look at each one of these individually, but before we dive in, I've given you all a questionnaire. I want you to take a pen and I want you to use a blue pen and go ahead and fill out just the top portion, just the retirement roadblocks questions. There's 7 questions there, and I just want you to see how confident you are right now. What we're going to do is at the end of this, I'm going to bring it back to this questionnaire and we're going to take another look. We'll see if anything changed. Maybe a couple new questions came up, but we'll get there. And if they did, that's great. We're ready to talk. If they didn't, that's great too, because you're feeling confident. Either way, we're going to have some ways that we can move forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk through the retirement roadblocks through the story of Bill and Jill. So Bill and Jill are siblings. And what we're going to do is we're going to join Bill and Jill on their retirement journey, and we're going to see how they successfully and sometimes unsuccessfully navigate through the retirement roadblocks. Of the 7, our first one coming up is longevity. And that's the very first risk on a financial retirement journey. Myself, many experts would actually argue that longevity is perhaps the single most important risk in retirement. So to illustrate the issue of longevity, I'm going to share with you the story of Thelma Sutcliffe. Now, you may not know who she is, and you may not have heard of her before, but in April of 2021, Thelma Sutcliffe was confirmed to be one of, if not the oldest living American in the United States. So Thelma's 114 years young, and right now she's living out her retirement years in Omaha, Nebraska. So what's fascinating though is in the United States today, there are 92,000 Americans that are age 100 and over. And if the studies are proven correct, it's expected that the number of 100 plus aged individual in the United States is going to actually double in the next 20 years to about 190,000 people over the age of 100 living in the United States. So what we know though is that today Americans are living longer, which is resulting in a longer retirement that can last 25, 30, or even 40 years in some cases. So let's look at some statistics. What we know right now is that if you retire at age 65, there's a 50-50 chance that men will live to age 89 and women will live to age 90. That's 50-50. That means half of folks are going to live longer and half are going to live, well, shorter. What that also means is, you take it further, there's a 25% chance if a couple retires at 65 that a man is going to live to 94 and a woman's going to live to 96. 25% chance. One step further, a 5% chance that men will hit age 100 and women hit age 101 or 102. So the reality is we are living longer as advancements in medical, scientific breakthroughs are prolonging the life and the retirement of the average American. So what that means is retirement could be much longer than we anticipated. You know, my best guess is that when Thelma retired, she didn't quite think that she would be sitting around for, you know, potentially a 50-year retirement. But that's what's happened. So earlier I said that longevity, or living longer, is the single most important risk facing retirees. And why is that? Well, it's because living longer is a multiplier of all of the other retirement risks. The longer you live, the more likely that you are going to be influenced by market risk, inflation, long-term care needs, just to name a few. And the longer you live, the more of a risk those become. Longevity is the risk multiplier. So let's look at one of those other risks, inflation. So if you're one of the many retirees that are on a fixed income, loss of purchasing power is a tremendous risk in retirement and a huge risk to the income that you currently have. So inflation, very simply, is the increase in the cost of goods and services over time. And because it can increase gradually, inflation can sometimes be a risk that goes unnoticed. Now, this year, we just had a near 6% inflation rate. So it's becoming a little bit more of a noise than a quiet din it had been in the past. But if you look at the periods recently, we actually had a pretty low inflation rate that we experienced in the past few years. So in periods of high inflation, like the early 1980s, consumers were painfully aware of the strain on their wallets. For example, in 1979, inflation was 13.3%. A 30-year mortgage had an interest rate of 12.9%. The noticeable impact of inflation was unmistakable at that time. Now, we all know that high inflation is bad. We don't like that. But even modest rates of inflation can have a significant and cumulative effect on your retirement. So over the last 20 years, as I've mentioned, we've been experiencing relatively low inflation rates. And as a result, inflation has kind of gone unnoticed, but it's still there and it's compounding over time. It's just taking longer to eat away at purchasing power. So keeping in mind that the historical inflation average is 3.7%, historical, and the recent 20-year average is only 2.1, it's likely that we're going to see a continuation of what we just saw in the last year. A higher than it's been inflation rate that brings us back up to that historical average of 3.7. So when you look at retirement income and you look at somebody's income over 30, 40, or in Thelma's case, 50 years, you need to find strategies that are designed to provide increasing income to help address those rising costs of inflation. Here's an example. If you started with $50,000 a year in income today at a relatively modest, so below average inflation rate of say 3%, your income will need to double in 24 years. So think about that. If you retire at age 65, by the time you're 89, if you were getting $50,000 a year of income, you now need to be pulling $100,000 a year of income to maintain that purchasing power. 24 years, age 89. Now, let's say that we have an experience like we just had, where the inflation rate is higher, say 6%. Well, you could probably guess where we're going here, but at 6%, you only have 12 years for your money to double. So again, thinking about Thelma, who's been in retirement much longer than 30 years, at a modest 3% inflation rate, her money needed to double twice. She's at 49 years of retirement. That means 24 and 24. She had to take her 50 and double it twice just to maintain that purchasing power. So whether it's high inflation or low inflation, the longer we live, that longevity risk in retirement, the more important it becomes that we create strategies to help maintain that purchasing power. Otherwise, we could potentially deflate our ability to cruise through retirement and hit those roadblocks. Now we're going to transition into a little bit of a more complicated, but fairly simple and actually pretty scary risk. And that's sequence of return risk. So when we need to double that income, as we've just talked about, we often rely on our retirement assets to outpace the inflation rate. But as we know, and we're kind of seeing, markets are incredibly unpredictable. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. We've been having a big up. The concern is what happens after it goes up. Could come down. Who knows? Typically, market pullbacks will have a minor impact on retirement savings because savers can simply wait for the market to recover. If there's a down year for my wife and I, we have plenty of time to wait before we need to generate income. So for us to be affected is actually much less. But let's say my in-laws, my wife's parents, who are currently taking income, if the market were to drop dramatically and they not have protected income resources to leverage, that could have a significant impact on their the longevity of the assets that they've saved over time. So what we're going to see is when market pullbacks occur early in retirement, my in-laws just retired last year, they can have that major impact and make it very, very difficult for portfolios to bounce back and provide the needed income throughout retirement. And what that's called is sequence of return, or just sequence risk. The risk of market returns in sequence and how it can have an effect on your income. What's really frustrating about this is it's based solely on luck and what's happening in the marketplace when you retire. You can't control or predict it perfectly, but its impact on your retirement nest egg can be huge. I'm going to demonstrate right now how timing in retirement is everything, going back to our friends Bill and Jill. So Bill did well saving for retirement, and when he reached retirement age in 1996, he had accumulated $1 million in total retirement assets. And what Bill did is he followed a broad market index fund. And upon the first year of retirement, he took out 4%, the 4% rule. You may have heard this before. We're actually going to come back to that in a little bit. But that's what he did. And now let's look at Jill. Jill is 3 years younger, but she followed in her big brother Bill's footsteps. And when it came to her investment strategies, she also had amassed $1 million in savings by following a broad market index, just like Bill, and she started her withdrawals at 4%. The only difference is Jill retired in 1999. Bill retired in 1996. So if you were around and followed the markets during the late 90s, you may have an idea where this is going to go. But we'll get back to Bill. He started withdrawing $40,000 a year, adjusted 3% for inflation. And by the end of 2019, his withdrawals totaled just over $1,370,000, and his residual account value increased to over $2,100,000. So Bill's pulled his money out. He's been living, he's been adjusting for inflation, and he still has a huge nest egg that he can pull money from. He's doing pretty well. He's not concerned. But if you take another look at little sister Jill, again, same exact approach, same exact setup, retired 3 years later. Again, she continued to follow in his footsteps by withdrawing $40,000 a year, adjusted 3% for inflation. But by the end of 2019, her total withdrawals totaled just over $1,140,000, a couple years less than Bill, but her total account value was $148,000. Jill now, because she retired 3 years later, has $1,960,000 less than her brother Bill. And this is real, using real returns. This is what happened to folks between 1996 and 1999 in retirement. So how? How does she have so much less? We'll show you. So when Bill retired in 1996, he had 4 years of positive returns before weathering 2 bear markets in 2000 to 2002 and 2007 to 2009. Bill simply had more time for his savings to grow before the negative returns hit. Jill, however, retired in 1999 and only had 1 year of positive returns before a bear market, leaving Jill a victim of sequence risk. The only difference was she retired 3 years later, giving her very different returns on her nest egg. Same stuff, different timing. And as you can see from this, the sequence of returns makes it really hard to plan for retirement if you're relying on the market. I'm sure folks turning 64 in 1998 were really, really excited to retire in 1999. Those that hadn't planned for protected lifetime income faced the same setup that Jill had. In fact, knowing if you had a crystal ball, they could have retired with less money a few years earlier and been much better off. But that's the key. We just don't know. If we can't predict where the markets are going to go and when they're going to do so. So due to that level of uncertainty, many people, when they realize or see this, they want to look for guarantees, not for everything, not for their whole portfolio, but to have a baseline and a foundation where they have a portion of their retirement nest egg protected. If you want to take sequence of return exposure off the table, give Bernard a call. He has strategies. IAD has all of the processes in place to help you simplify your success and help clients walk through this. But if you remember, quick little bit back, I mentioned the 4% rule. Let's talk about that next. So because of this market volatility and sequence of return risk, researchers back in the 1990s started asking, how much can someone safely pull out of their portfolio each year and still have that portfolio last throughout retirement? Longevity risk again. That's what's called the safe withdrawal rate. How much can you take so that you won't run out of money? And in the 1990s, a financial expert named William Bengen told us through his findings, research, and report on historical data, 4% was a safe withdrawal rate. If you've heard of the 4% rule, that's where it comes from. 30 years later, though, because that was the 90s, now we're in 2021, almost into 2022. Today's researchers are telling us that the 4% rule is more like a 2.7 or 1.9% rule. Why? What's going on? Well, to put it very simply, when these numbers and these ideas were first thought up and delivered, the bond market was great. Bonds were returning very solid returns. But if you look at it now and you look at what we've seen, it's not going to be like that for long. In fact, Prudential is predicting the bond market for a 10-year return is less than 2, which dramatically affects the amount of withdraw or the amount you can withdraw when you're not getting that level of returns. Again, also another reason why the protected lifetime income products that can be an alternative to bonds is flourishing right now. The bond market does not look promising according to many financial experts for the foreseeable future. A term that we've heard a lot is low for long. So depending upon how your retirement savings are divvied up, that's where these numbers are coming from. But even if you went as high, so if the 4% rule was in the 90s, but now we're hearing 2.7 or 1.9, that makes a big difference on the amount of the amount of funds you need to retire. So even if you went at 3.2%, looking at the chart here, 3.2% withdrawal rate, it means that still 20% of the time, you could still run out of money. So in other words, it's saying that we need to withdraw significantly less from retirement portfolios if we want them to generate income throughout retirement. What I know is if I look at my retirement and I look at my future, when I retire or when we're getting close, if our advisor says you've got a 20% chance of running out of money, I'm going to do something different. I don't want a 20% chance of running out of money. I have 5 good friends from college that I'm still very close to, in touch with, and a month from now, we're going on a fishing trip in upper Minnesota. But what that would mean is I look around the campfire at night and one of us are going to have to go back to work when we're 85, 89 years old. That's what 20% chance of running out of money is. One of us in that group is going to be, well, stuck. Personally, I don't want that to be me, so I'm going to do something that's going to change it. Many of your clients may be thinking the same way. Some may say 80%, I'll roll the dice, that's fine. But others might not. And you don't know where they're going to be until you have that conversation. One of the things that I work with advisors a lot and agents on when they say, or when I say, hey, your current clients are your best opportunities to grow business, I hear, well, I've done everything with them. I know their situation. I've got it. I've got it figured out. I know what they want or what they don't want because we've talked about it. I would say bring it back up. Has anything changed? Do you really know? One of the things that we had, and this is a little bit of a different example, is my wife and I are working on redoing our deck. And there were different levels of the composite decking you could buy. And our guy said, well, here's the mid-level. It's what everyone usually goes with. It's pretty standard. You're going to want to go that way. And my wife said, well, what else is there? He said, well, I mean, you could go higher end if you want, but most people don't because it's more expensive. And this middle edge is fine. And she said, no, I want to know what that is and I will make the choice. And she went with the higher end. So the contractor we work with almost talked himself out of a sale because he figured, no, that's the way everyone goes. You're going to want to go that way. Well, my wife wanted the choice and she chose, no, I'll go for the nicer one because it gives me more peace of mind that this deck and this investment we're making is going to be there 30, 40 years from now. We don't want to redo it. Let's get it right the first time. And that's what we went with. So as you work with your clients, give them the options and let them say, yeah, I don't think so. Or, yeah, I'd like to learn more. Either way, you're just giving the education. So if the recommended annual withdrawal rates today are nearly half of what they have been historically, moving from 4% to 1.9, what that means real simply is your nest egg has to double in size. So do real quick math for you. To generate $40,000 a year in income using a 4% withdrawal rate, you need $1 million of savings. But if you look at 1.9% withdrawal rate, you're actually going to need 2.1 times that, over $2 million to generate that same level of income. So when you say that to a client, the first thing that's going to happen is there may be a little bit of sticker shock or some fear there that says, wow, I don't have time to double my savings. I've been saving for 30 years. What are we going to do? The good news is there are many financial and insurance strategies that actually help create what I've been saying this whole time over and over, guaranteed protected income. And more often than not, that's going to put you at a guaranteed withdrawal rate higher, guaranteed, than these 1.9%. Depending upon how old the client is, you could be talking 4, 5, 5.5, 6% guaranteed withdrawal rate throughout retirement. You don't have to worry about the markets. You don't have to rely on wondering how much can I pull out from this portion of my portfolio. You lock that in and it's guaranteed for life. So now we're going to go into some of the other retirement roadblocks that you can help with. One of them you're very, very good at. But the next one we have is Social Security. So when you think about lifetime income, Social Security is one of the few sources of guaranteed lifetime income for many retirees. One of the things that I hear often when we talk about guaranteed lifetime income, especially if you're looking at a product like an annuity, a lot of clients remember or have heard from Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, many of these other folks out there that talk about products like this. And what you have is a lot of misconceptions. In fact, when somebody says, I don't like annuities, what I find most often is they just don't know a lot of what they are. They've heard something and they've heard bad stuff, because the good and the successful folks that leverage it, they don't make the news that often. Actually, I was really surprised. I was watching, you may have seen a news report come up. Kevin Hart, very famous comedian, has a interview show where he was interviewing famous actor, great actor, Don Cheadle. And the part that made the news was Kevin Hart made a joke about Don Cheadle's age. But what happened right before that is Don Cheadle was talking about how fortunate he feels to have generational wealth to set up for his kids and his grandkids, and he's able to leverage things like annuities. He actually plugs them right in there that he didn't think he could leverage. So when these things work out and when these things are making positive impacts, you don't hear about them as much because it's not as fun. You don't get people excited about, whoa, did you see this bad one? So when folks go and they say, I just don't like annuities, remind them about Social Security, because that's pretty much what it is. A deferred annuity, you pay into it over the course of your lifetime as you work and you contribute to it. And then at age, retirement or a little later, you turn it on and you get protected lifetime income based on how much you've contributed and your age. There it is. It's the exact same formula as it goes into these types of protected income products. These are just supplements to Social Security that can help create more. So, rant aside, soapbox down. Why Social Security is so important is because A, it's one of the biggest sources of guaranteed lifetime income for many clients. So it's vital that you know the options and the choices that you have to optimize your benefits. So determining how and when you're going to file for those benefits can actually be quite complex. If you haven't looked lately, there is a surprising number of options to consider, and the choices you make could have a very significant impact, not just on but your spouse's or any survivor's income as well. A couple small choices make a big difference. So there's a few things to note. You can start receiving Social Security benefits at age 62. However, you're entitled to 100% of those benefits when you reach full retirement age. What happens really frequently, though, is that people start their benefits before reaching full retirement age, which may not be the best option. The decision to begin benefits prior to or after your full retirement age can permanently decrease or increase your benefits dramatically. So here comes Bill and Jill again. So Bill and Jill both have a full retirement age of 66 when they are entitled to their full benefit of $2,000 per month. If Bill were to retire and take Social Security benefits earlier at age 62, let's say, he's going to experience a 25% reduction in his benefit. So his $2,000 a month, as you can see, becomes $1,500 a month. Now, let's say Jill, on the other hand, waits. She doesn't turn on Social Security until age 70. She's going to receive what we call delayed retirement credits. And her check is actually going to increase by 32%. So at age 70 now, Jill is going to receive $2,640 a month. And that's a significant difference between the two of them. To put it another way, due to Jill's delayed retirement credits, her total lifetime income benefit will result in almost $130,000 more than Bill's. And when you look at it, she skipped 8 years of payments and still got more. That's how big these impacts can be, and the big effect it can have. Since Social Security is likely, as I've said, one of the few sources of guaranteed lifetime income for people, when you meet with your clients, it's important to talk through, have they looked at these options? I know Bernard and his team has many tools that can help you have that conversation, can help you look into what options exist. Through working with Bernard, you have access to the resources that my team has, which include a full report that says, here are all of the options that your clients have, and here's a recommendation of when to maximize that. Not a lot of work on your end outside of, hey, Bernard, how do I get access? And can you get me this? And all of a sudden you become this Social Security, I don't want to say guru, but you can start to give clients these extra benefits of working with you. Hey, here it is. Have you thought about this? If not, I just wanted you to have it. Don't even have to ask anything. Just here's some info for you. Thought it'd be interesting. A lot of people don't look at this. A lot of people get their advice from, guys at the diner sitting around reading the newspaper saying, well, I took it right away. It's not always the best choice. Take a look at your options so you can help clients make a strong decision about when and how to file for their benefits. Now, this one, you folks know, healthcare. At this point, I'm not the expert anymore. You guys are. So I'm just going to share with you what exists for the retirement roadblocks piece to help you talk about it. But of all the risks we've outlined, healthcare is probably the single most difficult to plan for. And well, what do I mean by that? So as we age, out-of-pocket healthcare costs go up. And as a result, a 65-year-old couple can expect to spend just over $12,000 a year in annual out-of-pocket costs. By the age of 85, that number will triple to just shy of 38,000. So why such an increase in out-of-pocket healthcare costs? Again, this is your guys' arena, so I apologize if this is a repeat or refresher for a lot of you, but when you look at retirement, there's three distinct phases, right? There's your go-go, your slow-go, and your no-go years. And during those go-go years, you are retired, you're healthy, active, and living retirement to the fullest. In your slow-go years, your activity begins to slow. You make more visits to the doctor. And finally, in your no-go years, living independently can become a challenge. And at each of these stages, your healthcare usage and costs go up. So remember, I mentioned Thelma Sutcliffe. So 114 years old, living in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, Thelma has spent most of her later years in assisted living, dining with friends as she had no children. Her husband passed away in the 70s. But many families opt a different route to explore in-home care options due to the high cost of long-term care. Excuse me. Research shows that nursing home costs are approximately $7,700 a month, and that assisted living facilities are approximately $3,600 a month. So if we look at the national median cost for a private room in a nursing home, it amounts to $92,000 annually. Now, many of us don't plan for that kind of a healthcare cost, but the financial cost of not planning for that risk can be devastating. You have to explore contingencies by looking at insurance solutions to help offset the potential risk of healthcare. Our last one to wind it down is our good friend taxes. So taxation is one of the risks that you can plan for. Robert Kiyosaki, who's an author of the best-selling book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, said it's not how much you earn, it's how much you keep that matters. And taxation speaks directly to that. So many folks have their largest retirement savings as a 401k. When you withdraw those assets, Uncle Sam will obviously want his cut. So while somebody may have 1 million in a 401k, significantly less will come out after they pay Uncle Sam. There are three main tax allocation strategies that you can use. We're not going to go super in depth to them at the moment because I know we're winding up, and I think Bernard wanted a little bit of time for Q&A, but reach out to Bernard and we can talk through this if that is something that you'd like to do. At this moment, Bernard, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know we've got a lot, old slide there, but yeah, I'll turn it over if you got any Q&A. Would love to hear it.
There we go. Yep, we have one question here. What about clients who are single when taking Social Security?
They certainly have options. Many of the same options as a married couple will. If you have a case, we can walk you through and show you exactly how that works for a client like that.
All right, folks, I have any other questions here? We have Brandon on the line with us. I will say this with retirement roadblocks, it is a valuable tool, especially for us Medicare agents, because we're in that market with seniors, and biggest thing, we don't want our seniors to outlive their money. And with retirement, it will help them pay for some of those out-of-pocket expenses. So like I said, when we talk about longevity, the biggest thing is we don't want our clients outliving their money. We want their money to outlive them. So that is pretty much what this program is all about. Because if they outlive their money, that means they can't pay for those Medicare related expenses. I mean, even though they may have a zero premium Medicare Advantage plan, there's still those maximum out-of-pocket expenses if they're not healthy. I mean, if you're healthy, you don't have to worry about that because, you know, you have your PCP, your primary care business be $0 and all that good stuff. But if you're not on the healthy side, you're going to meet those other expenses. And if you're outliving your income, they won't be able to pay for those. So this is where retirement roadblocks is very important to us Medicare agents to start having that conversation with our clients. So, if you want to add on to that, Mr. Brandon?
You know, I think you nailed it. That's the key. As you have these conversations, and all right, we're back.
Yeah.
As you have these conversations with clients, these are things that people are thinking about right now. I mentioned earlier that there's a few key news pieces or news articles that have come out, and there's two that I'll share with you real quick. The first one is there was a recent study done of 401k participants, and over 90% of 401k participants said that they would feel financially more secure if they had a product that had guaranteed lifetime income. So these are people that are looking at retirement, that are saving for retirement, and they're saying, hey, I want to have an opportunity to have a retirement, guaranteed retirement income product. What you're seeing is many 401ks are trying to figure that out now, because the fear is, as these many of the baby boomers continue to transition into retirement, where are those funds going to go? Away from the 401k into products that that agents like you can help clients with. So the 401k companies who rely on these assets under management are starting to get worried, because folks like you are going to become a much more attractive option for retirement income than what they've had in all of this retirement growth. The problem is they can't do it. Life insurance carriers are the only companies that can offer a product like this. And the reason that they're the only ones is they're on both sides of the equation. So the risk with life insurance to a life insurance company is if the client passes away too soon. The life insurance company didn't collect enough premium to offset the risk that they had, and that unfortunate, but a case like that, the client, or I should say the life insurance company would consider that a loss on that risk. They didn't create enough premium to offset that. But on the flip side, on the side over here, the risk of an annuity is a client lives too long and the life insurance company pays out significantly more than they had received in a premium. When you're on both sides of that equation, they can balance out the risks and commitments to make sure that they can basically guarantee that lifetime income. They're the only ones they can do it because they're on both sides of the mortality risk. That's a big move right now.
And I'll chime in on this one. Then the other thing, and why I brought retirement roadblocks to IAD and partnered with Brandon is because we need to provide a holistic approach. Now, I started out as a financial advisor, and then I just started doing straight life insurance and annuities. Didn't get into the Medicare space because thought it was too complicated and didn't want to be bothered with it. But here's the thing. So now we have Medicare agents, and they need to venture out and provide a more holistic approach, because those straight annuity agents, they're starting now to know that I need to get into the Medicare space. And then there's also the financial advisors that know that I need to get into the Medicare space and the annuity space. And so what does that mean for you is that if you're only focused on Medicare, these guys are going to start building those relationships with your clients. And next thing you're not going to have those clients anymore. So it's very important to start in that one-dimensional approach and then have that holistic approach where I'll offer you guaranteed income. I'll offer you your Medicare. I can offer you your critical illness or your hospital indemnity, all that provide that holistic approach to everything. So that way, you won't let those annuity only agents and those financial advisors coming in to take your book of business.
And the nice thing about this is, as you look at talking to clients or even moving into the annuity space, the only underwriting is financial. If the client has a portion of their assets they're putting into an annuity, and Bernard and I can help you just kind of eyeball those guidelines. Health doesn't matter. There are some age limits, but all the things that get in the way of insurance products normally, you don't have to worry about it here. There's even many folks that use it for if they're uninsurable for different long-term care type of policies. There are policies there are annuities out here that are designed to increase or provide a double income for long-term care. There's ones that are for in-home care. There's ones that if somebody can't get life insurance, where the whole goal of the product is to increase a death benefit without underwriting. A lot of options out there. If your clients have some of these concerns, call Bernard. Their team is set up to help you all the way through.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Like I say, you call me, I'll take as much information down from you, or I'll give you a form and you can take it to your client to fill out, send it back to me. I'll get with Brandon and we'll come up with the plan. So all you have to do is just show it to your client and fill out the application. We'll do all that back office stuff for you, the illustrations, if need be. Look, if you want to review the illustration, we'll be glad to review the illustration with you, give you some talking points. So we have your back. So we're there for you. All you got to do is just show your client that illustration, so a few talking points, sign the application. And I know you may sound, oh, it's not that easy, but yep, it's that easy.
It is.
Yep.
And we're here to help.
Yep. So folks, if you don't have any other questions, I know it's getting kind of late here, and I guess we will, we'll wish Brandon a nice vacation. He's been with us since about April, and
yeah,
I don't think you've had a real vacation since.
Now
So
we've
yeah.
been hunkered down.
So now you and your family enjoy yourselves in Arizona. Come back to nice cold Minnesota.
Yeah, no kidding.
So no,
Uh,
all right, my friend, everybody, thank you for joining us. I will be reaching out to you. Actually, I'll be sending you contracting and like Brandon was talking about, maybe 1 or 2 carriers we use a theme, and a theme
Yep.
is more likely the go-to for the income. But we say we always search out the right carrier, but usually a theme is on top. So you're going to get a contracting link for a theme. Once you get appointed with that, you'll have all access to our retirement roadblock information or whatever you need to simplify your success. So yeah.
rock on.
If that's it, folks, we'll see you next time.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much, everyone. Reach out if you need anything. We are
All right.
here.
Take care, folks. Bye.